read 13 books during the month of January. I was gonna say October, and like we're literally in the new year, so let's get it together, Shaughnessy. There are lots of thoughts with all these books. We had some incredible reads, we had a 5-6 star read, we had some 2-star reads. We had a lot of different like reads in this month. So let's get in this video, but before you guys hop in, make sure you guys subscribe because there's new videos every single day for this entire week for book week, which I feel like you guys have really been enjoying, which I have too. And let me know one of your favorite books that you've read this month and one of like your least favorite books. We can all like maybe start reading some of the books that we love and I don't know, keep the other books that we didn't really love on the bookshelf. So let's get into these 13 books that I read during the month of January. We are gonna start with my 5-6 star read, which was Into the Dark, which you guys probably know because I've talked about this book so much. This book actually comes out in February, so if you guys have not read this book, definitely go pick it up. It comes out February 13th. This was literally a 6-star read for me, and I've never said that with any book. And I think what makes it a 6-star read for me is like it literally transcends a 5-star. Like the minute that I got, I don't know, like 200 pages in, I was like, I already want to read this again. I already want to annotate it, and I'm not a big annotator. Everything about this book felt so real, but also I feel like it's so rare that you can read a book like at the end of a series. Not really the end, but this is like Magnolia and BJ's like last book. And reading a book that's like so far into the series, being the 5th book, and it totally changes your perspective on all of the characters, I feel like it's so rare. And after you read this book, you will have so much grace for all the characters, so much more love for all the characters. You will cry. I literally did a whole reading vlog on this video that was an hour long, so I will link that and you guys can go watch it. But literally sobbed my eyes out reading this book, and I don't think I've ever done that in my entire life with any book. I've definitely cried, but like this was like multiple times that I cried. And I've also never read a 700-page book that I felt like actually needed to be 700 pages. Like if this had been 500 more pages, I would have still ate it up. Like all of the characters feel real. This is like by far my favorite series that I've ever read. And I feel like the thing that I love most about these characters is they are not all likable. They are human, which makes them feel real. And I think that Jessa Hastings has done an incredible job of like, even if a character isn't likable, you can understand why they're the way that they are, which I don't know, just kind of gives you also grace for humanity, because it's like we've all gone through things and like had things happen in our life that make us the way that we are, and like maybe we're not likable in every like aspect of who we are, but still like the things that have happened to us and the things that have like created us to be who we are, like are also good, even if they're bad, because they made us into who we are. So I don't know, I just love this book so much. If you haven't read the series, definitely pick it up. I feel like as the series goes on, you get more and more invested in the characters. I think someone asked me once if reading Magnolia Parks was like a quick instant love or if it was kind of a slow burn. It was definitely a slow burn. Like I heard everyone talking about it, heard some people hated it, heard some people loved it, and I was like going into it just kind of being like, oh, it'll be like just another book, like I'm gonna, you know, enjoy it. Jessa Hastings' writing is different than any author I've ever seen in my entire life. It literally feels like poetry. She'll write things in a way that actually are so descriptive, and maybe because I'm such a visual learner, like it really resonates with me, because she will like write as if she's talking directly to you or as if you're in the mind of the character, and she'll say things like, it felt like a piano fell on me, or it felt like an elephant was like stomping on me. Like she gives like these very, obviously that's a very, like she won't say that exactly, but I'm trying to like think of something that would be similar to what she'd say. She gives these very descriptive thoughts and like writings about how like things feel. So as you're reading it, you feel like an elephant stomped on you, and you feel like a piano fell on you. And instead of just being like, I'm sad or like I'm hurting, she'll like give these descriptors that are so like visceral, and you will fall in love with all the characters. So anyway, love this book. 6-star read for me. This is not the last time you'll hear me talk about this book, because I will be buying the book when it comes out, because this is actually just like not even the true binding, and you can see that it's actually went through a lot. But again, if you guys missed the video, definitely go and check it out. Brady got this as a gift for me for Christmas. It's signed, but it does not have like the back on it. It doesn't have the actual binding. This is literally just like, it's a book, but this is like not even real paper. It could literally fall apart. So it's not a real cover. But then I read Saving Noah, which this book was interesting to me because it made me really think about my perspective on like the things you do for family, because this is about Noah, who pretty much they're like going through this trial of him being like potentially a pedophile, and not even potentially, like I think it's like very evident on the back that he has like done something wrong, like very, very wrong. And it's interesting because you see two parents, and one parent is like, we need to protect him, we need to like make sure he like gets help. And the other parent is kind of like, I'm washing my hands of you. And it's just interesting, and I feel like this would be a really good book for a book club. Yeah, so anyway, I read this one, and then if you guys want to see all my ratings, you guys can go on to Goodreads, because, I don't know, I feel like I had a lot of 3.5 stars this month. And then I read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This book, I think, was one of my least favorite out of the entire series. It was nice to be back in the like world of this like series, but I just kind of feel like they didn't really do very much. Like I feel like it was a lot of talking around things, but I still enjoyed it, and maybe it was because I was coming off the high of reading Into the Dark. I don't know, but I wasn't obsessed with it, but I didn't hate it. It just was kind of mid. Then I read Play Dead by Harlan Coben, and I actually ended up buying this book because even though I rated this like a little bit lower than most, this was, I think, one of my first like true mysteries. Like I've read some thrillers, but this was like my first true mystery, and I kind of want to read more of this author's writing because I did really enjoy the ending of this book. I do think the writing was a little bit like, I don't know, you could definitely tell it was written by a man. If he described a woman's boob one more time, I was just like, oh my gosh. But I read this for a video, and I also think that reading things for videos, like reading books for videos, is fun because it definitely takes me out of my like typical genre. So reading a mystery was definitely interesting. And then I read Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. Didn't really care for this one as well, which a lot of people really love this one, but I don't know, there were so many characters, it was really hard for me to connect with them. Again, I do feel like thrillers and mysteries, you don't connect with the characters as much anyway. But this overall, I just was like not really invested. So yeah, I actually ended up enjoying this more than I enjoyed this book, which was surprising for me because even though I did love the ending, this book did definitely take a long time to get through. And then I read The House Across the Lake and fell in love with Riley Sager's writing. I think that this author does an incredible job of telling a story. I was eating this up. I do think the ending of this, I was just like, huh? Like, I just was like, okay, for a thriller, like, come on. But I really, really, really enjoyed this author's writing, and immediately after, I actually put another book on my TBR for the coming month because I enjoyed this author's writing that much. I will say it's not super, super fast paced for a thriller. Like, it's not something that's like, you know, Frida McFadden or Shari Lapina, but it definitely is a good, intricate story. And I definitely did not guess the ending, that's for sure. And then I read The Power of the Dog, which I think I rated like 2 stars. This literally felt like a book that I would have read in college. You guys probably know by now, me talking about it enough, that I was an English major in college, and we read so many books that I just did not want to read, and I think that this would be a book that you'd probably end up reading in school. You'd probably dissect it, you'd probably talk about the themes and all the things, but I just was like so over it. Like if you look inside this book, literally there's like no dialogue, like hardly at all. It's just straight text, like thoughts and things, and I was just kind of like over it pretty fast. And so then I hopped into The Coldest Winter by Brittany Cherry. Really enjoyed this book. I do think that she probably has better books than this one, only because I read The Holidates by her and rated that 4 stars, which was a Christmas book, and then I rated this one 3.5 stars. But her writing is so good. Both of the books I've read by her, she has added like a little side plot, and her writing reminds me of Natasha Bishop's writing, just super easy. You can gobble it up really fast. I do think that she's an auto-buy author for me. So I own like 3 more of her books because I want to read something of hers like pretty much every month. Like her writing is super fast paced, very easy to read, and I just think that it's like fun. Again, I love that she adds like a little side plot, so it's not just the romance, there's like something else going on too. And then I read the Frenemy Fix-Up, and this book really surprised me because I think I thought that I was going into this book thinking like, oh, it's gonna be fluffy, it's gonna be fun, like, oh, like cool, like whatever. Y'all, this was spicy. Like this was so spicy. And this book, I really enjoyed how the characters felt like they were like really going through the motions of like having like friends with benefits to like maybe more. I also think that it's so rare that you like read romances where the romance like feels realistic. Like some of the reviews, I was looking at this later because I was like, did I read the same book that everyone else read? And this is why you can't trust Goodreads, because like people would just be saying stuff. But I was reading the reviews on this, and a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't like how the main character was like kind of wishy-washy. Like I didn't like how he was so like cocky, like that kind of thing. Literally the story between like these two characters is one of them is like, you know, corporate, like very strict, very like my life has to go perfectly, and the other one is like a yoga instructor, very like chill, down to earth, very hardworking, but just very different personalities. And there's like a little side plot thing that's going on too, which kind of like pulls the story along, but they end up being like friends with benefits. It says literally the Frenemy Fix-Up, and as they're like friends with benefits, you see they start to have feelings for each other. But what I liked was that as they started to have feelings for each other, it felt so real, because what happens when you start having feelings for someone? Like the first thing you do isn't like, hey, I'm having feelings for you. Like, no, you're like, do they feel the same for me too? Like, I don't really know. Should I keep doing this thing that we're doing, or should I talk to them? So it felt very real as I was reading it. And I think that sometimes romance gets a bad rep because people are like, okay, this literally does not happen in real life. But I feel like this felt like a real situation between two people. Like they were having a hard time communicating because they were friends with benefits. But I think a large part was because they were friends with benefits. Like you're not trying to like be like the needy, clingy person. Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I think I rated this one 3.5 stars, the same as The Coldest Winter Ever, or Coldest Winter by Brittany Cherry. This one was really cute. And then I read The Girl in the Castle by James Patterson. This was okay. I just like didn't really like the ending. I feel like this has kind of been the trend with a lot of books. I do think that this book felt more like a mystery than a thriller to me, and I don't really know the category that it was in, but I feel like if I had went into it knowing, oh, on the back it literally says thriller, but if I had went into it thinking of it as a mystery, I think I would have enjoyed it better, but I went into it expecting a thriller. This was one of my mom's picks from the video that we did together, and it was good. Like, it was definitely an interesting ending, but throughout the whole book I was like really intrigued. The ending just didn't really get me. I definitely want to read more from James Patterson though, because I've heard that James Patterson just has great writing. And then I read Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up. This was cute. This was really, really cute. I think that this was fun because it just felt really light. Like I think that this would be, I mean, granted it was spicy, but I think that this would be a nice little like palate cleanser. There's nothing too heavy in it. There is also a disability rep in this book where the main character has, I cannot think of it. It was literally on the tip of my tongue, but there's a good disability rep in this, which I really enjoyed. I also really liked how one of the characters is going back to school at an older age. And I feel like you don't see that very often. You kind of see like people having their life like fully put together. So that was really nice. And then I read Hooked on You by Rihanna Ladeau. This book took me a while to get through, and I think it's because the text in this book was like super small, and so like, I mean, it's so small. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but I ended up starting this book on my physical book, and then I just finished it completely on my Kindle because I could not, like, I just could not read this book in a physical copy. I will say I've been loving my Kindle, by the way. If you guys want like an updated Kindle video, let me know. I think what I love most is, one, it makes it super easy to read at night. Two, I can like really zoom in on the text if like the text is super small, because like I have never DNF'd a book, but I could have with this one just because the text was small, not because of storyline. I do also think that this book I enjoyed because there was so much going on. Like one of the characters, she has like her own business where she crochets. You can tell that they are like starting to have feelings for each other, but they're friends, and they like try a thing, but then it kind of doesn't work. And it's just like, felt again very real. I do feel like it was kind of missing that spark, and maybe it's because they were friends with they were friends first, so it's like a friends to lovers story. And I think since that's my favorite like trope, I was really expecting a lot from it. But overall, I did really like it. It was very cute. I read a lot of like mid books, like nothing that was like bad. Like I enjoyed it as I was reading it, but nothing that's like I'm gushing over. And I think part of it is because I read Into the Dark at the beginning of the month, which literally I still think about and want to read over again. And then I read Rafe or Raf, I'm not really sure. His name's Raphael, so like would it be Rafe? I don't know. Anyway, this book was spicy. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of banter in this one. I do wish it was a little bit longer, but overall it was fun. I do think if you like spice, you probably like this even more than I did, just because the story was really good. It's about a male nanny, and like he's nannying for this woman, but the woman has some like drama with her ex-husband, and he's kind of like, you're letting him watch the kids, like, and she's like, I'm grown, I can do what I want. So you like kind of get to see that. So yeah, I think that was like really good, added into the story, and it kept me really interested. So yeah, these are all the books that I read during the month of January. I'm really excited for just like the coming months, because I feel like books just make me so happy, and the more that I like read, the more that I'm like opened up to like new cultures and new storylines and new things. So let me know all the books that you guys have read this month, and the books that have really like caught your attention and what you've enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.